Hi everyone, welcome to 2020 spring semester Advanced English Discourse. This video will be about the syllabus. I've uploaded the file to eClass, so if you would like to open it up on your computer and follow along as you're watching this video, just go ahead. Okay, first of all, I just wanted to say that I'm in my office 3 or 4 days a week, and if I'm not, I'm usually near campus. So if you need to talk to me, please text me or call me, send me a cacao, you can email me, you can come to my office if I'm there. I recommend messaging me first to make sure I'm there. But as you can see on the slide, my phone number's there, my cacao ID is Lonzo, my email is just my name at hanmail.net, and my office is room 409-2. So if you need to get a hold of me, you know how, and I expect I'll be talking to some of you throughout the semester. So, political and legal translation. I happen to be a political scientist, so I would be lying if I said I'm not very much more comfortable with that side of it than the legal side of it. Throughout 6 years of teaching this class, maybe 7 now, I have learned quite a bit about legalese and contracts and different legal documents. I'll be sharing as much of that knowledge that I've gained with you as possible. And hopefully through your presentations and the assignments we do this semester, we'll be able to add to that pool of knowledge. Basically every semester, or every class, we will have a political or a legal text, which you will have translated. I'll have you do presentations on that. I'll give my feedback on the assignment, and usually we wrap up the class with you doing a little bit of peer editing, etc. But yes, the content of the course is the title is self-explanatory: political and legal documents, and we'll be translating lots of those throughout the semester. So if you've taken any of my translation classes before, you'll kind of be familiar with the class structure that I'm about to explain to you. Beginning of the class, I come in, I take attendance, maybe just a little bit of chit-chat, and then we move on to student presentations. Student presentations are usually teams of 2, and each of you will be presenting from, we'll say, 15 minutes to 25 minutes, depending on how dense the content is and how active the discussion with your classmates is. Beyond that, when you finish your presentations, I will be going through my feedback. The reason I do presentations first is it allows me to hear what you've already gone over, so I don't have to go over it in my feedback and waste your time. And also, I'm not cherry picking all the good things to talk about before you do your presentation, so you have no class discussion. And usually your presentations and my feedback take us probably past the break after the first hour and a little bit into the second hour. And then I have you, as you know, or most of you who've taken my class before will know, I have you do some peer editing that usually takes 10 to 15 minutes. And maybe a little bit of kind of wrapping up the class discussion, and that's usually a class. As I said earlier, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me and let me know. Okay, so if you look at this next slide, it has the grading breakdown. You can see there that assignments are 60%, presentations are 20%, participation is 10%, and attendance is 10%. As far as the grading of your assignments goes, they are graded based on accuracy, as in did you translate what was in the original texts faithfully? Register, is it at the same register or is it too informal or formal? And then style. So when you look at your assignment, when I give you back the corrected version of it, you'll see there'll be some lines that are underlined and there will be stars in the margin. Now what the stars mean is if you see something underlined that I corrected and there's a star in the margin, that means it appears in the feedback, and I will be going over it in my feedback and explaining to you why I marked it as incorrect. Now, I also said that things are graded on style. Now, if there's a portion of the text that I have underlined and it says nice, and there's a star in the margin, then you will also see that it appears in the feedback. I don't usually go over those because depending on how much feedback there is, if it's a short feedback week, then I will go over things that I think were nicely done. But the reason I include those is because you used an idiomatic expression or the language you used was very well written, and I feel like your classmates could possibly learn something from seeing how you did that. Beyond that, if I've graded something in your assignment where I marked it wrong and it doesn't appear in the feedback, you are more than welcome to either bring it up while I'm giving the feedback, or if you're a little bit shy, you can always just ask me via email or text, etc., via the contact information that I provided earlier in this video. Okay? Okay, so as far as the presentation grade for my translation classes goes, it will be based on the presentations that you make on the assignments that you translate every week. Depending on the size of the class, you'll probably have about 2 to 3 presentations during the semester. You'll be presenting in pairs, meaning you'll have a partner. Each week, I want you to take basically half of the assignment, split it between the two of you. As far as working in partners goes, you can work closely as a team, or if you want to just divide it up, split it up, and do your presentations, prepare separately, that's fine. It's up to you. You're adults and you know how you work best. But your presentations should be anywhere from 20 to 25 minutes. I will be providing guidelines and a sample presentation for next week's class, but I will go over it just very, very briefly here. The grades for your presentations are based on the content and the audience participation, what type of discussion you manage to have during your presentation with your classmates, and presentation skills. So how's your posture? Are you speaking clearly? Are you engaging with your audience, or are you very quiet and stiff and seem nervous? So all of those things will be incorporated into your grade. As far as the structure of the presentation, typically I have you go through the vocabulary first. So the vocabulary will be if there's something difficult or challenging. It doesn't have to be vocabulary. It could be idiomatic expressions or just turns of phrase that you think were challenging or interesting to talk about. Then you will go on. Probably you can give a slight overview of the content. So what type of text is it? When do we typically see these texts, etc. And then you can move on to the talking points. Each student should present 5 talking points that were basically they should be challenging portions of the translation that you thought may have been difficult for people, and you will go over your sample translation, your partner sample translation, and I provide a sample translation as well. So you should have 3 different examples of how to deal with this difficult point. I expect you to try and engage with your classmates and ask them how they dealt with it. And you should also have parallel texts, perhaps 3 to 5 of those, similar types of documents. And from those, I want you to look at different expressions or wordings that would be useful for the assignment that we are working on this week. And between all those things, that should more or less give you the content you need for your presentation. And as I said, I'll be going over this again in next week's class when I talk about presentations. So, your participation grade is based on basically, go figure, your participation in the class. Whether or not you are active in class discussion, and whether or not you do the midterm homework assignment, which for all of my classes is to find content appropriate for your class. Basically, so if you talk a little bit each class and you do the midterm assignment, it's an easy 10%. If you only speak up maybe like once a month, and maybe you get 7%. If you manage to smile in every class, then maybe you get 5%. Okay, so it's a graduate school of interpretation and translation. You wouldn't be here if you weren't able to speak English well already. I want to see that, and I want to see that you're able to think while you're speaking. If you can connect those 2 things, then your participation grade should handle itself. Okay? Okay, attendance. Now, I have had students, especially first semester students, come into my class and say, oh, this is the 5th semester of university. So my instant response to that is, no, it's not. This is a graduate level course. So attendance, it's not mandatory, but it is expected. So here's basically my rules on attendance. You don't have to like them, but that's how they are. You're all adults, and we all have lives outside of this school. So if something comes up in your life and you cannot make it to my class, fine, miss a class. But send me an email, send me a text, send me a cacao, send me a smoke signal. I don't care. Just let me know. As long as the absence is excused, then I'm going to say, okay, they're an adult. They made an adult decision, and they get one free absence. Okay? I'm not going to count it at all in your attendance grade. Now, if you miss a second class, even if you have a doctor's note, it's still an absence. Okay? So, unfortunately, there's not much I can do about that. If you miss a second class, then I have to deduct points for your attendance. So that's a 2.5% deduction on attendance. Now, if you miss a second time after your free absence, then it's another 2.5%. Okay? Now, the third time, I'm giving you a 0 on your attendance score. But if you're absent for 3 times after your free absence, you were absent for 4 times. 4 times, and this is only a 16-week course. So the thing about being an adult is we can all make adult decisions, but we also face adult consequences. And if you go to any job in the world and you miss 4 days of work out of 16, they're going to fire you. That's just how the world works. So if you believe that you deserve any type of attendance grade, if you miss that many classes, then you have problems beyond my class. That said, now, I don't say this lightly. If you have some sort of extenuating circumstance, like an illness in the family, or your dog died, and your dog died isn't a good excuse, so don't use that one. But an illness in the family, or some really serious mitigating circumstance that means you're going to miss 3 or 4 or more classes, then if you're not comfortable talking to me, that's fine. Talk to one of the other professors and let them know, so we can get together and come up with a way to help you continue in the course. Now, usually this has happened 2 times in the 7 years I've worked at GSIT, but it has happened. Life continues outside of GSIT. People get sick, people have family emergencies, and there's nothing that anyone can do about it except try to come up with some sort of solution. So in those cases, provided the students continued to submit assignments, we said, okay, we'll let you, and if it starts at the beginning of the semester, it's better to withdraw, but if it's halfway to 2/3 of the way through the semester, we're more than happy to help you try and at least get through the semester with a B+, as long as you've tried to do the work and keep up with assignments. But again, you have to talk to myself or one of the other faculty members and let us know so we can try to do something to help you as a student, okay? Also, regarding lateness, if you are more than 15 minutes late to class, I count that as 1 strike. If you're late 3 times in a semester, I count that as an absence. Okay? Now, again, there is not anyone who's coming to at this stage of their lives who doesn't know how long it takes to get from their house to wherever it is they are going. And if you can't figure that out in a week, again, you have problems that I can't help you with. If you live in like Gyeonggi-do somewhere, let me know, and I won't use this rule for you because it's an easy 1 or 2 transfers or late or what have you. You could be late for class more than 15 minutes. But everyone who lives within the limits of Seoul, I expect to be no less than 50 or no more than 15 minutes late. Okay, so the midterm assignment for all my translation classes is the same. I want you to find a text that you believe would be appropriate for use in class. It can be academic, it can be journalistic, or professional, but it should relate to the content of the class in a very clear way. And you can either copy and paste it into a Word file and include the link to the original document, or if you find a PDF, that would be okay too. And just upload the file to eClass Yulin Gesipan, and yeah, I think that's pretty clear. And I will be using these assignments the second half of the semester, and this is how I make sure that the class is refreshed and constantly updated with new content. I do recycle content from semester to semester depending on whether I believe it's of a quality that is really useful or a topic that is really useful, but I do try and accommodate students' desire to have more recent and updated content on a semester by semester basis. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to ask. Okay, schedule for my translation courses is basically the same for all of them. I'm kind of boring like that. Basically, your first week is going to be this online lecture where I go over the syllabus and the intro to the course. From week 2, I'll be doing an online lecture where I do a sample presentation to kind of give you an idea of what I expect for your presentations. And I will also do a short It's going to be 2 things. I'm going to do a sample presentation to give you an example of what I expect. I will also be posting files that show previous semester students' presentations that I thought were well done to kind of give you an idea of, or a guideline to follow. And I'm also going to do another video that talks about what I expect for presentations, okay? To try and cover all my bases. In previous semesters, I thought I did an okay job of explaining what I wanted for presentations, and then students did presentations, and I was like, well, you kind of did what I wanted, but you're missing something, or something wasn't done the way I expected, so I'm going to try and clear up any potential misunderstandings by, like I said, doing a sample presentation and doing a separate video on what I expect you to have, all of the boxes you have to check to get good grades on your presentations. And then, as you can see from the slide, the rest of the semester is the same thing, same stuff, different day. There'll be your presentations, my translation feedback, and then copy editing. And in between, hopefully, we have some discussion and we talk about things, and we get through the semester that way. Normally, on the midterm week, I don't have class, but because of the nature of this semester, I think we're going to have class every week. I really don't want to end the semester later than normal. If we go through week 8 and week 15 and 16, then in terms of content, I will have covered exactly as much as I do every other semester, and we won't have to go those extra weeks or that extra week that Wade is expecting us to. And I don't know about you guys, but I think with all this hassle with COVID-19 and everything else that's going on, I think by that point in the semester we'll be ready for it to be done on the regular schedule, and if I've covered all the content I normally do, I don't see why we can't end on the regular schedule. So that's what I have in mind. When I show up for the first week of face-to-face class, and if you guys feel differently, definitely we can talk about it, or you can email me in the meantime. As I said, you have all my contact information, and I think that's everything there is to do with the class, the syllabus. As I said, any questions, please shoot me an email, send me a text, or if you're feeling adventurous, I'll leave a video question on eClass. And that's the end. Thank you for listening to me talk about the syllabus for this long, and hopefully we will be seeing you soon, and we'll get through this whole virus debacle that has been going on for the last month. Alright, take care and stay healthy.